remember the first time you seen a Gojira show up in the MonsterVerse? Nope, not when Godzilla shows up. I mean the bones of Godzilla's relative, Dagon. The immense skeletal remains of a creature that was once just like our beloved king of the monsters. To most fans of the MonsterVerse, the whereabouts of the bones currently in the timeline remains a mystery, and is still a point of discussion amongst the fans, with some suggesting that in order to create MechaGodzilla, the bones of Dagon must have been used to provide skeletal support for such a monstrous creation. This, of course, is a callback to Godzilla's reign with the Japanese creator Toho, where the bones of the original Gojira were used when creating a version of MechaGodzilla. This, of course, is a trend that many Goji fans would have loved to have seen in the MonsterVerse, but we can confirm that Dagon's bones were not used when creating MechaGodzilla in Godzilla vs. Kong. But after a little bit of research, we know what's happened to the remains, and that's the topic for this video. Remember to stomp the subscribe button and hit the bell if you haven't already, and let's get to it. Now to be clear, the artist who designed MechaGodzilla for the movie, Jared Rikevsky, did confirm he had no idea where fans were coming up with the idea that Dagon's bones were used for MechaGodzilla, and that the idea was never brought up to him by the bigwigs at Legendary. And within the lore, there's good reason for that. Within the MonsterVerse comic, Godzilla Aftershock, we got official confirmation that the Gojira remains have not been moved or altered since we last saw them in the first MonsterVerse movie, deep within a collapsed mine in the southern Philippines. The comic describes that an entire Monarch base was built around the mine, and even extended down into the chamber that held the remains of the Godzilla specimen, Monarch Outpost 14, codenamed Hollow Dark. Here, researchers were able to study the bones and gather loads of useful information about the Titans, specifically Godzilla. They were able to understand more about Godzilla's insane biology, and put clues together to figure out how Dagon was killed, which we ended up finding out was due to the Mutoprime infecting the Gojira with the eggs that would eventually become the Mutos we seen in the first movie. Now within the current MonsterVerse timeline, Outpost 14 still exists, and is in high use amongst Monarch researchers. Will we see the bones again in the future of the MonsterVerse though? More than likely, no. At least not in the continuation of the mainline movies. But perhaps in the new Godzilla TV show being filmed right now, we could see a lot more of Dagon's bones, and here's why. The TV series is set to take place right after the events of Godzilla 2014, and is rumored to have plenty of flashback scenes that take place throughout the nearly 80-year-long span of lore for the franchise now. The scene in Godzilla takes place in 1999, and these potential flashback scenes may revisit the discovery of the Titan skeleton, along with plenty of discoveries in between that and the timeline of the show. We could very well see some of the show take place at Outpost 14 after all, as to learn more about Godzilla, Monarch and the lead characters may try to uncover whatever they could from Dagon's remains. With a fossil like that, the show's creators could really go wild with teaching the audience a bunch of Gojira biology. That would make for some fun scenes and help us all understand the Big G-Man a little bit more. And maybe we will one day get to see Dagon as he was when he was still alive. Perhaps some scenes of the beast before it was killed by the Mutoprime, maybe even when he and Godzilla were much younger, during the Great Titan War, or maybe even further back in time. But until more information on the series comes out, all we can say is that the bones are still resting exactly where we first saw them, and that there has been no attempts at using the bones to create a giant mechanical monster, and I'm sorry. So, mystery solved, and now on to the next one. Remember to stomp the subscribe button and hit the bell to stay up to date on all the new MonsterVerse news coming out. This has been Jacob, and consider joining our new membership program if you want to help support the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one.